See the openness, the white areas in your body graph as flexibility and fluidity. It truly is where the sweet spot happens to be as far as you making money in business. And you learn that in personal success. Okay, so we're close to the top of the hour. I want to check in with my tribe and see what questions have come up that, Ryan, you feel should be answered at this juncture before we move on into special considerations.
So we had it, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
We had a question with regards to physical distance between team members.
Mm-hmm.
Given so many people work over Zoom today and online using online management systems, what kind of impact does that have for remote partners when considering their interactive dynamic in their designs, their connections?
So, yeah, it depends on the connective field. So if two people have met in aura personally, that connective field is going to be much stronger. Compare that to, let's say, a partnership where they lived and worked together. They were married, for Christ's sake, both working together. Let's say they split. It was amicable, but they continued on with the business. Obviously, they're going to have a way different connective field comparatively to like you and me, Ryan, where we've never lived together, we've never met each other, but we've known each other over the years and gotten familiar with each other's ways. That's quite different than somebody who's only met through chat and never had any communication. So there's all these different layerings. What would you like to add to that as a consideration or factor? In answer to that question.
I think there's definitely an exchange of information that happens when you're in physical aura with another person that can't be replaced simply by experiencing them and their skill set and the way they communicate online. However, the more time that we spend together, working together, communicating, sharing of information, processes, you become familiar with people's energy. And I feel like the compatibility dynamics that are revealed in the chart are just as relevant, even though there's physical distance. There may be physical distance between people. And sometimes it may actually be more optimal. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. As an example, if you have a lot of challenges in the relational dynamic between you and the other, distance, spaciousness gives us so much more grace to handle any challenges where we maybe butt heads, not because there's anything wrong with each individual partner. It's just when the two are connecting, some people don't see eye to eye. Some people don't even communicate in the same language. I might say a word that has a totally different meaning for you because you learned English in a different area of the world, you know? So better that we have communication. And there's a fallacy currently, and it's widespread. It is a problem. Oftentimes we have the illusion of communication if somebody has just chatted at each other. Oh, we've typed to each other. We've communicated. Not really. Even when you're face to face on Zoom like this and you're hearing each other speak, sometimes true communion doesn't quite happen. Now, it's not necessarily that you did something wrong. It's just that, let's say, one person is emotional, so they're not really able to listen, pay attention to you at this moment. They're thinking about something else. So communion hasn't happened, communication, true communication. Or let's say that one person is quite abstract, as in they're visually stimulated by experiential data points of what happened, whereas the other person is very logical, and they're more visually stimulated by the patterns and charts and graphs and, a step-by-step plan as we move forward into the future. Those two coming together, depending on their connectivity, may cross wires. And then there are people like me, Ryan, you're like this too. We hear frequency. Anybody who's individual. The sound, word, vibrational frequency formula, the energetic impetus or the intention behind the word that you're using has a lot more to do with actually being heard than just the typing. Sound makes such a difference. So that being said, when the two of you get together and we're talking, me and Ryan, let's say if we had a communication together where no one else was listening, we'd have a much deeper connective field than we would if like, oh, everybody's in part of the conversation and now we're having team meetings and we're really not connecting. We're not landing with each other because we haven't had the connective field of frequency meeting without the other people's influence. So the reason I say in person is different is because it is. All of us have different communicative availability, communion availability on the body side. Smell. Wouldn't you agree? You smell somebody and, oh, I love the way this person smells. Smelled my husband and was like, oh my God, I'm in love, you know, or whatever the case may be. Sight. You see somebody on the internet, very different story than when you're standing next to them at the airport and going, God, you're like a foot shorter than I thought you'd be. If you've ever had long distance dating, you know what I mean. Oops, that didn't work, you know? So definitely there's a lot of context there. Does that help? Anything
Yes.
else that we want to add?
I think too, it's interesting to look at the charts of two partners and consider the type of work that's being engaged in. And you mentioned earlier the like having an electromagnetic connection in the format channel of concentration, right? There's I would think there'd be definitely an advantage to being in order to be able to share that fuel to focus and that power to master the details in physical partnership. But maybe for some of the electromagnetics where it's the awareness centers connected to the throat, that exchange may be different and less dependent upon that actual exchange of energy between partners.
Yeah. Big difference.
There was another question here about, let's see, projectors working well together. So do you have any general tips and tricks for projector partnerships, and in this context between an emotional projector and a splenic? So bringing that difference between inner authority processes.
Oh yeah. Let's take that at the end of the class. That's a great question. But for now, I'll tell you that Ra said the way that we're moving towards in the new era is type with type. Now, that being said, you put a projector and a projector together does not make generator, even if the chart says it does. So that's something that we really want to talk about when it comes to being productive, because yes, it depends on what kind of emotional or splenic projector we have. Just those two is not going to cut it when it comes to giving you better tips as far as tricks and techniques for working better together in business. Surface level, I'll say, for the splenic projector, let them be spontaneous and don't push your emotional projector partner to be spontaneous. For the emotional projector, let them take their time and don't push your splenic projector to not allow them to be their own authority and move with whatever the energy or awareness is bringing them to. Okay? All right. Thanks for that. And we'll check in with the ladies too, if there's anything else you want to add. Anything, factors when it comes to working together. Mel and Naraya, you two have never met each other in person, but you've known each other for what, 4 years now, and have worked together quite a lot. What are your takes on partnership at a distance?
Well, it's actually really funny that you are asking about that specifically, because in context of the question that was being asked, even about triple splits, something that's been so, I guess it's just been a really beautiful part of my relationship with Naraya is not only understanding that she has a third line body, but in her being a triple split, it's like our relationship is really special. And we do a lot of work together. We work really well together. And yet it's so important that I understand how much she needs to be able to engage with all kinds of other people who have nothing to do with me. And that it's not not that I would ever be possessive over her, but having this knowledge of human design allows me to almost it's like such a gift to be able to give that to her, and to know even that what she what she takes in, what she investigates through these other relationships, there are always things that are going to come back and nurture our relationship and everything that we have to offer together as a partnership.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Thank you for bringing that recognition forth. Naraya, for you?
Gonna make me cry. Uh, no, so it's really actually interesting, our relationship. We've known each other since 2000 and late 2020. So it's been a very long time, and we've been working together now. And like everything she said is absolutely true. And she's spontaneous. You know, she's a single definition. She can process things really quickly, and it takes me a longer time. And I can sometimes watch her like waiting for me to catch up. And she doesn't pressure me, and she waits for me to catch up. She doesn't give me the answer. She doesn't give me the solution. She waits for me to figure it out on my own, which is really important, because I just typed this in the chat too. With a triple split, you can't manipulate timing. You can't push the timing. Everything gets synthesized together when it's time, when all the pieces are there. And there's this impatience that happens a lot of times that other people have with me. And knowing this information, Melanie knows this information, I know this information, we can recognize, sometimes it takes us a little bit, but eventually we recognize we are designed so very differently, yet there is us working together. Knowing this is just easy. We've only had maybe 2 little scuffles where she changed something spontaneously too close, and then it was uncomfortable for me. But how can I not let her be herself too? So there's this give and take and this compromise that happens between the 2 different things. And the fact that we both understand this information makes it be easy. It's easy. It's easy to work with her. It's easy to work with you, Lavina, also. It's just easy because we respect the other person and their energetic makeup. We don't expect things out of them that they're not designed to do. We don't pressure them, and we do not expect them to do things that would be out of alignment with them. We respect everybody's authenticity. So yeah, that's one of the greatest things. Melanie and I are like opposites. So for us, people are always like, wow, you guys work together really, really well. And any of you that have seen us in any of the Raw TV or in the personal success question and answers, we do. We flow together. We almost finish each other's sentences because we can feel how the energy flows with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
One more thing too that I would add, as a 5-1, where familiarity breeds contempt, Naraya she is one of very few people that I speak to every day. It's almost like something is missing if we don't talk. And it's just been a blessing to just get it, that for me to be able to even have a relationship like that with someone, I have to be able to kind of take off that hat, because our dynamic, I'm not here to kind of be that 5-1 projector for her in the same way as I would in my public role, if that makes sense. So it's not to say that the projection field isn't there, but I'm able to feel really comfortable with Naraya day in and day out. I don't feel pressured by her in certain ways that I could feel perhaps in other dynamics. So both of you have helped me so much to truly respect the need for space, and also to give time to process emotions, and also for me to recognize how easy it is to be operating from a place of pressure, and to be able to align more deeply with what is correct for me.
Beautiful. Thank you for their contributions of awareness. It is a magical thing to see each other as clearly as possibly can be, and allowing for that unique perspective and awareness and difference, and not to take things personally. I feel that that's one of the most important things that you can walk away with in studying your own human design and the designs of the people around you, is to see that they are doing what they can with what they have. And sometimes there are just some incompatibilities. And even though there may be some real challenges there when it comes to compromises that have to be made, we can still honor and nurture and respect each other being our own authority, rather than trying to make things different or personal or have vendettas or anything that has to do with that icky feeling inside of you when things just aren't working accordingly with what you expected they should or could or might or would be. So coming to grips with your design. Yeah.
I have one more thing to add too.
Please.
So people out there watching might be like, oh, well, you guys were fast friends. You met each other and then suddenly you got along great. Even though we knew human design, we did not get along great. We could not stand each other. And we were in our foundation classes, so we were just learning the system. And the more we learned the system about ourselves and about how other people are designed, it developed into a friendship. So this is one of the things, like even complicated relationships with communication that is not good can be made better with this information. It can be made at the best, easiest, and just relaxing even. So that was an important part to add of our little story.
Right, absolutely. More supportive and more successful together going further. So again, just because the chart shows manifesting generator does not make it so. It is one of the things that we'll cover as we go into the success series further, deeper. So now let's continue to make your experience a little bit richer if you'd like to. If you're done, feel free to leave, but we shall continue just a little bit more for some further considerations that are right for us to share with you. Again, not the whole story. I wish we could, but when it comes to the big picture view and all of the little details, we have to look at charts. There's so much to consider or factor in. So first thing is individuality. And one of the things that really makes relationships hairy, my mind wants to say, or difficult, are people who have, rightly so, to be in control of things. So here's an example of all of the individual channels in the body graph. And then that 21 is tribal. So individuality has a super keynote of empowerment. Empowerment is a big part of the picture when it comes to two people in partnership. Who's got the power? Are you going to give each other empowering statements or opportunities or availabilities to stand on your own and walk tall? Or are you going to put them under your thumb and force them to obey you? That doesn't make for a great partnership, So that's one of the considerations. How much of that being each individual is rightly designed to be free to move in accordance with the pulse of energy. All of this energy here moves in a pulse versus the control mechanism of having to take control of things, certain things that are right for you to do. Those have to be considerations. Now, what happens if the two people come together and more individual circuitry is created as far as channels, the illusion of definition between the two parties? Then we have even more of this potential moodiness or sadness or melancholy as a genetic frequency that is created between the two of you. So respecting each other's individualistic nature or view, whatever it happens to be, that comes together. If you have a lot of individual circuitry, either individually or in the partnership, then this is going to be a very different relationship. People who are individual, like me, like Mariah, like Mel, we're different. Oh, Ryan too, we're different. We're just different. We're very different. Okay, if you've got individual circuitry too, you're different. I mean, really designed to stand out. And yet oftentimes when we're born, raised by well-meaning parents, they don't want us to stand out necessarily. They want us to fit in. They want us to belong, especially if the family is quite tribal, belonging, as in people like us do things like this. Oh, don't do that. You're going to be, why are you waving your freak flag or whatever it happens to be? Now, the strength of individual circuitry partnership is that you're looking at people who can create something new. So link all of those channels that you see to newness, as in difference, as in moving the needle towards something unique and individual and special. So seeing the other for their difference and not trying to make them, force them, push them to be anything other than what they already are. It's one of the gifts in aware partnership. So back to this channel, if you went through solo, you remember this particular area of the body graph we call integration. It's one super channel that's made by other channels within the body graph. So we're looking at these beings in partnership, not necessarily faring well. Depends on the rest of their design and indeed the connective field that they have with another. So when you're looking at this being, let's say their partner has the 28 or the 38 or the whole channel, they're more likely to turn their head at you because this integration being is more drawn to these beings who have this particular area of the body graph activated. It's an important distinction. So if they have it in their own design, then this part, this aspect of themselves, integration, can be empowering for others too. But just like that, all on its own, self-empowerment, I don't need you, thank you very much, I'm doing my own thing, going my own way. Now, if you have been raised as a being like this, and other people have told you, why are you self-centered and so selfish, and what's wrong with you? You have to share, or you have to support us, or whatever. And then made to feel bad because you haven't been able to turn your head towards the other and do whatever it is that they wanted you to do. No, you had to be yourself, in response to be free. There is a lot of grace, we'll say, or compassion that can arise inside of any being the moment that you understand or comprehend the genetic wiring from an authentic place, that to see that some people are just very different. And here I am waving the flag of difference. This is one of the greatest benefits of knowing what it's like to be yourself in partnership. You're different. And the two of you coming together, that's different than another being that you might be partnering with. Very different. Need for control, high. Lavina has this gate 21. And in partnership, when it comes to the relational dynamic of being ourselves in business and partnership, people who have 21s, they absolutely have a genetic requirement that they need to be in control. The moment that a 21 is not being given control, let's say some 45 lords it over her and tells her what to do and takes away that control, it's literally breaking this person's heart. It leads to heart issues. Literally, this is the heart muscle. TMJ also masseter muscle. So potential for jaw issues, stress, clenching the jaw, that kind of thing. So working in partnership when it comes to being a 21, people have to respect you for your ability to be in control or to delegate control. That's another thing that happens here with the 21. So great bosses when it comes to the other beings, allowing for them to be in control of whatever it is that they have a genetic potential to need to be in control. So here, look at some examples. Again, we have Princess of Wales, Diana, and John Lennon. Same thing happening here as far as gate activations that are there. However, one design is generative, so available to respond, so needs to be asked in order for them to respond, to take control or be in control. Now that control cannot come with the pressure to promise or prove. We have an undefined heart center. That ego center is not about the consistency of the availability to, let's say, initiate control. It's just not there. It can't be. This is a being who is designed to be available to respond. That energy has to be available and it has to feel satisfying, like it's something right for them to do. They cannot just say, I'm going to take control over you. That doesn't work. Especially doesn't work with someone like this, who is undefined in the throat, as in This is not a manifester. This is a projector. And projectors are here to recognize and then be formally invited. Okay, invitation, biggest thing for a projector to consider with their authority. So in partnership, those are very different types. Same thing with a manifester is very different, defined or undefined heart, versus a reflector who will never have a defined heart, but with a 21 still needs their lunar process in order to know if it's right for them to take control. Now, control is a tricky business. We can come back to this in an example chart down the road. Another example we're looking at here between these two that I want you to pay attention to is the fact that we have a defined G center, the higher self, or the identity, role, direction in someone's life, being consistent, versus someone who has it open in their design, inconsistent. So what happens if you put those two together? Well, the undefined identity may follow the defined identity to the detriment of them being their own authority. Oops. So what happens is, I'll show you here an example. My chart, my husband's chart. Okay, you can see this thing happening where I have a defined G center. It's unconsciously defined. He's got an open G center. So in the beginning of our human design experience or experiment together, he knew about human design before I did, and I was all excited about it. Have you heard about this? And initially it was like, no, that's bullshit. I'm a manifester. He was very much into the law of attraction back in the day. Okay, so we come together, we're coming together, coming apart as far as relational dynamic until we finally tied the knot. And what we're looking at in the examples that you can see, he takes on my direction or role if he's not being his own authority. So initially he thought, oh yeah, I'm going to be a human design analyst too. Or I'm going to be whatever it is that I happened to be very excited about doing. Until we really started living and being our own authority. And then I could see our differentiation happen to where we very much can recognize each other's difference. Now, in this example chart, we see two very different aspects here and here that are some of the most difficult channels that I have for us to talk about later, if you do have questions, especially on those, because those are, if I could hit that one out of the park for you, as in help you to see how different you are compared to your partner, that would really help you if you have one of these channels. Now, me personally, I've also seen difficulty here, and the other real difficult channel is this one right here. So I welcome my assistants communing with us once we get to the end of this presentation. Not too much more, because what I have in store for you is just a reminder now before we go to questions, that strategy and authority is your key to being able to make decisions that you can trust. The particular environment that may be correct for you now, in whatever years you're aged, might be different as you move through your 30s versus your 40s versus your 50s versus your 60s. It may feel like it's correct, and then it's not correct as far as a direction for you to take. So do yourself a favor, let go of the crutches of believing what other people say about you, and experiment with being your own authority, as in learn and know how to make decisions that are right for you. It is the thing that's going to be the most benefit for you. Can you be your own authority? Is it right for you to partner? If you use your strategy, honor yourself as your own sovereign. The age of dependencies being over, it's now time to step up into the awareness of your own divine divinity so that you can unlock the success of yourself in business. Next up, we're going into the small business design, and that's part of the software that you're going to be able to learn how to use if you continue on in the journey with us over the next year. Because partnership and finding the right partner and the right team, building a team, takes time. This next iteration of our success series is going to give you a lot more support when it comes to your business, whether you're being a solopreneur, entrepreneur, somebody who is working on their own, independent as a contractor or what have you, versus partnership, versus small group, or even the large group. Now, experimenting with being your own authority in honoring yourself as well as the other to be their own authority. That's the tricky business. That really is the tricky business when it comes to human design, fostering the correct partnerships for personal and business success. Yes, I can say, follow your strategy, be in your own authority till the cows come home, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get it. And that's why I want to help you observe yourself by mentoring you, teaching you, coaching you, guiding you through this next year to determine the right partnerships. And if you experiment with being your own authority, you're going to see how life changes for you, regardless of what your type is. I warmly welcome and invite your questions, if you have them, when it comes to this experiential participant program, where the purpose of our program is transformation. It's not giving you another whatever to follow and then letting you do your own thing. It's guiding and mentoring. So in order for you to work successfully, I look forward to you continuing on in the journey with us when it comes to small business. Now, let's go take a look, real brief. I want to bring forth into the conversation these channels, okay? So we're looking at the older version of my body graph software, my workshop, where I can highlight or illustrate on the fly. What I have done here is colored in red an activation on one side of the most difficult channels that we have, and colored in black the opposite side of the channel in these three most difficult channels that we have in partnership or in relationship. So real brief rundown, I'll tell you, gate 5s, hi, that's me, tends to have very fixed patterns. We are so fixed. We have a specific way that we like to do things, an order, a pattern, what have you. Whereas 15s, this is a love gate. It's the love of humanity or not. And because it creates channel definition between illusion, the illusion of definition between myself and my partner, it is another reason why we are attracted to each other. Now, we call this an electromagnetic attraction and repulsion. So sometimes it's like, no, I don't want to stay up that late with you and watch movies till the wee hours of the morning. I had to learn that the hard way in the very beginning of my experiment with my husband. These people, 15s, are so extreme, and they also bring reliability, a weird thing, in the small grouping, So it's the thing that gets a small group started, team, business, what have you. We 5s are very attracted to the 15. This creates a very large auric frequency. So what happens? Ugh, why do we always have to do what you want to do, or whatever the case may be? Or the 5, it's very unhealthy for us not to have our fixed patterns. And so we lose ourselves in the process. What if the one being, or even both of you, don't have this G-center defined individually? Then with the other person, you get into a specific flow. And what if it's a rut? What if it's not productive? What if it doesn't feel satisfying? And you get hooked in and locked in and, oh, difficult. What do? Simple answer is be your own authority, but sometimes that can be tricky when it's talking about, relational dynamics, depending on whether you work with them in person. If you're always together, like me and my husband, very different story than if you go to the office and, that kind of thing. Now, 36 and 35, relationally, we're looking at crisis and progress. Boy, if those two things could be more different, they are very different, just like these two, okay, very different. So while one person really wants to share his crisis with you, or hers, or their, or whatever, the other person is like, no, we've got to make progress here. So butting heads when it comes to the emotional tension or challenge or upset, angry, 2 of these 3 channels of potential anger within them. So angry and frustrated. Yeah, that happens. So what do you do about it? Obviously, in relational dynamic to your chart, we'll talk about that. The last one, before I bring in my team to bring their awarenesses of how this works for them, any recommendations. The most important recommendation I can tell you is to stay on your side of the channel, whatever it happens to be. So example, as I spoke about with Mel, she has the 45 and I have the 21. So she in charge and I in control in relational dynamic. Now the same thing is happening with Jacob at Jovian Archive. He's got a 45, I've got a 21. Same thing with my husband. They're on the same cross. My husband is a 45, I'm a 21. So staying on our side rather than fighting over, let's say, ownership battle, who owns what, or who has what, or who's going to do what, or whatever the case may be. Just to know that these, when you're looking down at a chart, oftentimes what people do is they look at a chart and they go, oh, wow, you have so much of the other side of the channel. We're going to have a great relationship. 7 electromagnetic channels, or with me and Mel, I think it's 8. That is a lot more tension, potentially. It's not the ideal. What happens is when you have a lot of connection fields between you and the other, is that there's more potential for hate, not just love, but hate as well, or the dislike, at work. You ever hated somebody? Like, oh, I really don't like them, but you have to work with them. So you grin your teeth and bear it, or grit your teeth. You grit your teeth and bear it, How do you deal with that? First, understanding. Second, stay on your side of the channel, as in stay in your lane, stay where you genetically are designed to belong. And again, understanding, sometimes awareness is so powerful. The last thing, so I can let my assistants go, is how can you determine if you should start in solopreneur or get into the partnership? So solopreneur is if you're working at home in your own aura. You either want to be your own boss or you're already your own boss and you do your own thing. You're an independent contractor, whatever the case may be. If you're going to go into partnership, you've already got a partner and the two of you are excited to step into this journey together, to learn more about each other, to use the softwares, because you're going to have access to 2 different software, one for personal success and one for business. So especially if you're in partnership and you're thinking about making room for another in your relationship, like hiring on 2 or 3 more people, then you're probably going to want to do partnership. If you've already got 3 people in your team, especially if they're in person, or if you work regularly on a day-to-day basis with people in a team, small team, 3 to 5 people dynamic, then you probably want to go into the small business opportunity that we have for you as far as the team dynamics, because each one of those different offers are going to access you a different layer of support and analyses. So today you've met the team that's going to be doing your analyses. We've got Ryan, we've got Mel, we've got Melanie and Mariah. So all 3 of them are highly trained. They're going to be working with you privately and individually, as well as they are also going to be supporting me answering questions like we've just demonstrated here. So the lectures are not going to be live. My apologies, I just can't do that right now with the level of fatigue that my voice gets to. But we will have recordings that are revealed for you. And then later that week, you're going to get access to coming in live and asking your questions about you, your partnership, or your team, respectively. So 1 group for each individual level of support. And if you want to just observe, you're welcome to observe other groups. It's just that we're not going to take questions from you unless you're actually in that particular grouping. Okay, so it's a group thing. Lavina likes that when it comes to maximizing energy and resources and providing a lot of opportunities for support. That being said, I can feel my energy. It's been enough. So I'll let you go for now. Thank you so much, my team, for your sharings. If there's anything you'd like to say as we wave goodbye, please feel free.
I have something. So
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that if anyone is still not sure if the leadership program, the leadership success is correct for them, they can schedule a discovery call. Melanie still has some availability and I still have some availability. Ryan, are you filled up?
For
Are
the
you
next
still
2 weeks, but
taking
I'm
calls?
going to open my, for the next 2 weeks, yes, but I'm going to open my calendar
I cleared up a
afterwards.
bunch
Okay.
of space because
Oh,
I had a
good.
feeling that there were going to be people that were going to want some more info. So, by all means, either through the website itself, I think there's a direct link now, and stay tuned for future mailings because there's going to be links there too for you to be able to book with each of us as
I
we're
just-
available.
Excellent.
I just put in the chat Melanie's and my link. Ryan, do you have your link handy? I didn't have yours handy.
All three of ours are posted on the Human Design Mastery Leadership
Oh, are they
Success
now?
website now under,
Yay.
yeah, Loki got them
Okay.
there yesterday. So they're there now under our bios.
Yep.
So
So
Oh,
that way
excellent.
you can meet with us if you want to, and we kind of explore what's going on, and we can talk to you about whatever your personal situation is to determine which would be correct.
Oh, it's way down there. Okay. Here they are.
right there.
Yeah.
And we even
Makes
provide
it
a
easy.
place for you to submit your birth data so that we can actually have your chart. So that gives us the ability to give you even more precise advice.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Nice to have you here. Thank you, everybody, for your time and attention. I look forward to connecting up with you the next time we do this. Okay, so we'll see you then. Take care. You're very welcome. Bye for now.